Welcome to the Boxing Gossip channel. Please hit subscribe if you are new. Doing this video in a different room today. Apologies if the lighting isn't ideal, but we'll crack on with it anyway. Deontay Wilder's defeated Luis Ortiz. George Groves has defeated Chris Eubank Jr. February is done and dusted. We are now well and truly into March, and it's probably about time we start having a look ahead to what is undoubtedly the biggest fight in March. Anthony Joshua, Joseph Parker, undefeated heavyweights taking each other on in a unification clash. In the next week or so on the channel, I'm intending to upload keys to victory videos from both guys' perspectives, talking about what I believe either guy needs to do to increase their chances of success, and really getting into the mindset of what strategies the fighters should employ as they step up to this fight. In this particular video, I wanted to react to a little bit of news that has been sent to me by a number of different people. I'm referring to a story reported on the website stuff.co.nz. The headline is, Anthony Joshua's surprise late call to spar Carlos Takam ahead of Joseph Parker fight. The article reads, Anthony Joshua wants to spar with Carlos Takam to polish his skills for his looming heavyweight title clash with Joseph Parker. It's an unusual situation given that Takam was Joshua's last victim, beaten by TKO after 10 rugged rounds last October. Joshua is eager to up the intensity level of his sparring for the fight with Parker in Cardiff on April the 1st. Scrolling down the article, Eddie Hearn is quoted, and it's quoting Eddie Hearn from an interview he gave with TalkSport. AJ doesn't want to spar someone who is not world level. AJ wants someone who is competitive. There's so much at stake, and it's at such a high level that this is important. Poor sparring can lead to negativity, and we can't afford to leave one stone unturned in a camp like this for a fight like this. So interesting. Joshua bringing in Carlos Takam as a late notice sparring partner. Where we are now, 3.5 weeks till fight night. You know, usually a fighter won't be sparring in the last week before a fight. Some fighters will be stopping a fortnight before a fight. So, yeah, the window of opportunity for Joshua to get the rounds in with Carlos Takam is relatively short. He's going to be wanting to get that work, you know, in the next week, next 10 days or so. Interesting, the reaction to this story, you know, amongst boxing fans. A lot of them, and I would say in particular, I picked this up from New Zealand fans, viewing this as some sort of big negative on Joshua. You know, the take is that, oh, things can't be going too well in Joshua's camp if he's looking to bring in a sparring partner at such late notice. You know, if things were going so well, perhaps he wouldn't be looking to make a change as we get closer to fight night. And that is a realistic possibility. The honest answer is that me, sitting here, just as a normal boxing fan like the rest of you, making dodgy YouTube videos on a poor camera with dodgy wallpaper, I don't have any additional insight. My initial take was actually the opposite. My initial take was fair play to Joshua. You know, this is a big fight. He's clearly taking it very, very seriously. He's wanting to get the best out of himself, and as such, he's bringing in Carlos Takam as a sparring partner. Carlos Takam, still a top 15 heavyweight in the world, in my opinion. What fantastic high-level opportunity. You know, very few sparring partners in the world come with the same class of a Carlos Takam. So, you know, real fair play to Joshua for spending the money and bringing in someone at this higher level for sparring. I mean, if you look at the heavyweights, if you say the top fighters in the world, the likes of Wilder, the likes of Povetkin, you know, these guys aren't going to come over to be a sparring partner for Joshua. Obviously, he's fighting Parker. Obviously, Hay and Bellew are both preparing for other fights, and they're probably not going to want to spar with AJ. What I'm getting at is, if you actually say, who are the very best fighters in the world who could spar with Joshua, realistically, because guys like Wilder aren't going to be coming over to do it at this stage. You know, Takam's probably one of the top 3 or 4 in the world you could pick sparring. So my initial take was fair play to Joshua, and I also thought Carlos Takam would be some good work because he gave Joshua problems, and perhaps Joshua wants to work on that he also gave Joseph Parker a lot of problems. So perhaps Joshua wants to, try and explore that further in the way he approaches this fight. So my take initially was that this was a positive move, and I'd give Joshua a little bit of credit for getting this organised. I think it's good. Does Carlos Takam represent a similar style or a similar threat to Joseph Parker? Probably not. I see Joseph Parker as a guy who is far more athletic than Takam. I see Joseph Parker as a guy who's far faster. I think Parker's a guy with better combination punching, better power, straighter punches. However, I do think they're more similar in dimensions than one of the giants of the heavyweight division who's 6'8", 6'9". I also think there's quite a lot of scope that this fight, Joseph Parker will look to take it to the inside and will look to have various rounds of this fight up close rather than standing off Joshua. And perhaps Carlos Takam, with his style, can provide that sort of test and that sort of work in the lead up to this fight. So, I view it as a good sparring. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that sparring Carlos Takam means you'll be fully prepped for Joseph Parker. But the only way you're going to be fully prepped for fighting Joseph Parker is by sparring Joseph Parker, and that's obviously completely unrealistic. So for me, I think it is what it is, and it's something that I view as a benefit. Could it be an indicator that Joshua's existing sparring hasn't been up to much, and that's potentially a sign of a bad camp? Maybe it could be. Hearn did say poor sparring can lead to negativity, and we can't afford to leave one stone unturned in a camp like this. So maybe it could be an indicator of that. But I think that's kind of a bit of a step. It's a bit of a step. And the fact that they're bringing in Carlos Takam, if Joshua has had it very easy, if he's been knocking over sparring partners without getting tested too much in sparring, well, that's probably all going to change now Takam's in town, because as we all know, Takam is a useful operator. So, I think Joshua's taking this very seriously. I think both sides are, actually. As I've seen both men in the lead up to the fight, both of them look leaner, both of them look in very good shape, and clearly both of them are, really, really committed to putting their best foot forward when they meet in the ring. I've spoken at length on this channel in the past about the respective weights and sizes of both men, and I've noted how both of them have sort of gradually gone up in weight since their debuts to where they are now. And I've kind of speculated that on both occasions that's had a bit of a negative impact on their work. And on both occasions that they're fighters who are possibly at their best when they're a bit lighter on their feet, a bit mobile, a bit faster, a bit snappier, and potentially they're making adjustments there, because if you look at the trend would have been for these guys to come in even heavier, because they're getting heavier fight by fight. But just in terms of looking at them physically, it appears they've got lighter. Parker in particular, if you look at Joseph Parker, for me, it looks like he's lost quite a lot of weight. Even in his face, he looks a lot leaner than I've seen him in the past, which is potentially a good thing. Obviously, you don't want to take it too far. You don't want the guys turning up at 210 pounds and being hugely drained and maybe having their punch resistance affected. But if they can come in 10 pounds lighter each, I think that's great, and I think it's going to be to both guys real positive in this fight, and from a fan perspective, hopefully make it an increasingly memorable fight. When we see these heavyweight fighters, we want them to be fast, explosive, athletic, and you're going to be far more explosive at 220, 230 than at 240, 250. It becomes ponderous, it becomes plodding. We see the stamina tank empty. Joshua in particular, he's had noteworthy stamina problems in his career to date, and I don't think continuing to pile on the extra pounds and the extra muscle is necessarily the answer to that. But for me, the signs are positive. Both guys are looking in great shape. Both guys clearly taking preparation very seriously. I wouldn't read too much into the Carlos Takam thing at this point. Does it mean Joshua's camp has been awful so far? No. Could be an indicator of that. Could be an indicator of ultimate professionalism from them, that they just want to get someone at that top level available at the last moment. And I'm sure it will be high class work and a good way of Joshua prepping for the fight. Let me know your take. Leave your comments in the section below. If you've enjoyed this content, please hit the thumbs up. Do subscribe if you haven't done so before. There'll be a lot more on this fight as we get closer to the big night. Thanks for tuning in.